Behind the Throne is a super fun game for 1 to 4 players, as we said just now. And because we only have 2 players, you want to take out about half the cards. It's 4 of each actual piece, actual number. And actually, you know what? You could actually play this with a deck of 52 cards with some modifications, but you would end up removing about half of the deck. So there are 3 things that you can do whenever you're playing. Basically, this game is a game of push your luck. And whenever you're playing, you're going to take a card off of the top of the deck and you're going to play it. You're going to decide whether or not you want to take the next card off the top of the deck, and you only get to do one of 3 things if that card is equal or lower than the card you just played. So when you play the next card, it just happens to be the same. I got super lucky on that one. We didn't even plan that one. So now you have the choice. You can do one of 3 things. If you have cards that are the same number, then you can destroy one of your opponent's cards. If you have cards that are the same number or the next number is lower, the second thing that you can do is you can take this and you can keep it and put it in your piles. You can have up to 5 piles. The third thing that you can do is you can take the cards that you play and you can swap them with any one card of your opponent's. Those are the 3 things that you can do, and you're going to keep going until you decide to stop. So it's a push your luck game. Now, the fun about this is whenever you start collecting your cards, these cards are going to have special abilities. So, for example, this card right here has -2. So if the next card that I decide to draw is a 6, then if I have this in my hand, then I can actually subtract 2 off this. And again, that's equal to this card, which makes the 6 minus 2 is a
4.
3. Oh, 4. You're right. You're so good at math. So it's a 4. And since one of the things you can do is destroy another card, if the card is the same number, then that makes this a 4, which is the same as the last one. Then I can destroy one of Eli's cards if I so choose to. You can only destroy 1 card per turn. Now, I may decide to stop at 6. You can go up to 5 cards if you want, or I can keep going if I decided to. I got a 5. That's less than 6. And you know what? I think my turn is over. I'm going to do one of the 3 things. Again, one of the 3 things is I can destroy one of his cards if I get the same number, or if I make it the same number with one of the special powers, if I happen to have that in my hand. I can swap these cards for 1 card that's in Eli's pile, or I can choose to take these in, and then once I take these in, I can have up to 5 piles of cards, and I can have up to 5 cards in each of these, they call them stacks. 5 stacks of cards, up to 5 cards in each stack. Now, as long as I have the most of this specific number, then I'm allowed to use them. So now I have 2 4s. If Eli has 1 4, then he is not allowed to use his power. The power, which is take 2 off any card that you're flipping from the middle. So Eli cannot use that power unless he has equal to or more than I do. If he has equal to, then we both can use the power. If he has more cards than me, then I can't use the power and only he can. So what we're going to go through now is each of the cards' power, since we've already gone through the 3 things you can do, which is take the cards in, destroy a card if you get the same number, or if you make it the same number with a special power, or swap the cards. Now we're going to talk about the actual cards and what they do, and then lastly we'll talk about the win condition, about how you gain points, and how it is that I actually beat Eli every single time.
Actually, I beat him last time.
And here to tell us exactly what these cards do is Eli. Eli, what does card number 1 do if you decide to take that into one of your stacks?
1 lets you subtract 3 from another card.
So as you're turning cards over, if you have this card in your stack, if you've taken it in a previous turn, then the next card that you turn over, you can subtract 3 from it. What about this card right here? Number 2.
Number 2 lets you see the future.
Which is kind of like Exploding Kittens, see the future, which means you can turn over the top card in the deck and you can look at it. Now, one thing that we did not add is each of these cards that are in your stacks that are in front of you, you can only use their powers 1 time. Now, there is a card that's going to allow you to use it a second time, but we'll get to that in just a second. But card number 2 allows you to peek at the top card in the deck to see what the next card is coming.
Not show anybody.
and not show anybody else. What about card number 3?
Number 3 lets you subtract 1 and add 1
Now, why would it be important that I want to add 1 to a card?
to just get the same number and destroy someone's card.
Yep. So maybe I have a 6 down and I turn over a 5. Well, I can add 1 to that card, which makes it a 6, which means I can destroy one of Eli's cards. What about number 4?
We already went over this one, but it subtracts 2 from another card.
Number 5. This one's a little bit special.
So this one number 5 lets you use another card again if you already used it once.
So whenever you're playing your cards, you're going to take it and you're going to turn them to the side whenever they're used. And again, remember, you can only use the power of that card if you have the most cards equal or more than your opponent. So you're going to turn the card sideways whenever you use its power. If you use the judge power, you turn the judge sideways. The card that you want to use its power, you turn right side again, and then you can use that power again, which is super helpful if you have like a 1, for example, because you can use it to subtract 3 from a card. You can use the judge power and then redo the 3 and use it on the next card if you want. So the judge card is super powerful, and it's a great addition to other cards you might have in your stacks. Now we're getting to a little bit more special cards. So whenever you're playing, the higher the cards that are in your stacks, the more points that you're going to get at the end of the game. And you have to have more than 1 card in each stack in order for the points to count. So if I have 2 queens, then at the end of the game, I'm going to get 8 points. If I have 2 or more kings, at the end of the game, I'm going to get 9 points. Now, the higher in cards that you go, the more points that you get, but the less useful that they are whenever you're actually playing. So let's start with number 6. What does number 6 do?
So whenever you want to trade and you see they have that card in their deck, you cannot trade any other card but this one.
So if they have this in their stacks, and remember, one of the 3 things that you can do is take the cards that are out. You can take whatever, 1, 2, 3, or whatever, gather them and swap them for any 1 card in their stacks. If they have this card in their stacks, the only card that you can trade with is this card specifically, and this card is very important for end game. What about number 7?
Number 7, kind of similar to this one. If you want to destroy a card and you see they have this in their deck, you can only destroy number 7.
So if they have number 7 in their stacks and you turn over a card of the same number, or you make it the same number with another card. So let's say that I turn over a 6 and the next card that I get is a 9. Well, 9 minus 3 is 6. That makes them the same number, which means I can destroy a card in his stack. If they have this in their stacks, then this is the only card that I can destroy. I cannot destroy any of their other cards. And then number 8, which is the queen.
I forgot these 2.
So number 8 is if you want to destroy a card, and this applies to me as the player. If I want to destroy one of Eli's cards, and if I have 3 queens in my hand, I cannot do the destruction option unless I have at least 4 cards flipped over in a line. So if I have 1 queen and I flip over a card, I flip over the next card and it's the same number, I can still destroy it because I have 1 queen. If I have 2 queens, I flip over a card, I flip over the next card, it's the same number. Because I have 2 queens and only 2 cards flipped over, I cannot take the destroy action on you because I have 2 queens. I have to turn over a 3rd card and hope that that 3rd card is a destroy card or the same number before I can start to destroy your cards. So these cards are super valuable as far as points go, but they're hindering whenever it comes to actually playing the game because it prevents you from destroying cards. And number 9 is the same way. Remember, one of the actions that we have is swapping cards. Well, if I have 3 kings or 2 kings, let's say that I have 2 kings in my hand, I cannot swap those cards with any of one of Eli's card unless I have more cards turned over than there are kings in my stacks. So that's what the cards do, and we're actually going to play a round next video and show you exactly how it goes. So until then, my name is Dad.
My name's Eli.
And we are with Board Game Bananas.